press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
In its 4 years of existence, OnePlus has fashioned itself as the flagship phone killer jumping out of the mid-range bushes. Every OnePlus device to date has been defined by premium specs at bargain prices, but that changes with today's OnePlus 5. Starting at $479 with 64 GB of storage, this new flagship can no longer be mistaken for a super specs mid-range handset. And even though it doesn't cost quite as much as a mainstream mainstay like the Galaxy S8, that's exactly the sort of phone it will be compared against. This is the priciest OnePlus device yet, and it's falling in line with its more traditional competition. You pay more to get more. There's no questioning the specs of this phone. It's powered by the top-of-the-line Snapdragon 835 processor, comes with a combo of either 6 GB of RAM and 64 GB of storage or a laptop rivaling 8 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage, and it has a total of 52 megapixels of image-taking prowess between its three cameras. What I see when I look at the 2017 edition of the OnePlus flagship is a necessary maturation and refinement. The ruthless cost-cutting of the past was never going to be sustainable, and now that the company is facing the exigencies of being a global operation with costs that go beyond basic distribution and marketing, OnePlus is growing up in both price and quality. But as it develops into a new kind of phone, the OnePlus 5 is also starting to feel divorced from its predecessors, inheriting only the physical switch for alert modes and the dash charge rapid charging technology. It now looks like a OnePlus 3 that's put on an iPhone 7 Plus costume, still roughly the same proportions as the 4, but now with more rounded edges, curved antenna lines, and the same dual camera setup as the iPhone. It's more than a passing resemblance, and it frankly makes me uneasy. Until today, OnePlus could confidently say it was different from all the other Chinese upstarts that, consciously or not, aped the iPhone to a point of losing their own identity. OnePlus phones always had character, rooted in no small part in their market-breaking low prices. But the 128GB Midnight Black phone I'm reviewing today costs $539, which is a stone's throw away from Samsung's Galaxy S prices. Without the unique selling point of massively undercutting everyone, and with the baggage of looking like a cynical iPhone ripoff, can the OnePlus 5 retain the small company charm that's made its maker popular all around the world? The feel of this phone, though, is quite unharmed by its lack of originality. I appreciate the softened sides and slimmer profile, 7.25mm if you discount the slight camera bump, and I still find this a manageable large phone. The bezel-deprived Galaxy S8 and LG G6 have raised the bar for the ergonomics of large-screen devices, but have sent the same advanced display technology as them. The OnePlus 5 still holds up pretty well. I can use it one-handed under most circumstances, and the only thing I'd really ask for is a more gray texture on the matte rear cover. This might seem like a small thing, but OnePlus has always had really responsive power buttons, and that's still true with the OnePlus 5. I never screw up the double tap of the power button to launch the camera on this phone. The fingerprint sensor is also exceedingly fast at 0.2 seconds, and it's unerringly accurate. It's attention to these little details that sets the best devices apart from the rest. I also enjoy the call quality and clarity I get from this phone, though I'm not a fan of its loudspeaker, which tends to become sharp and piercing at moderately high volumes. OnePlus demonstrates its upgraded meticulousness in a couple of subtler ways. The fingerprint reader now has a ceramic cover, the camera lenses are protected by sapphire glass, and the notification LED and the capacitive key backlights are perfectly disguised so as to be totally invisible when not active. Mix that in with the midnight black paint job of the pricier model and the perfect black 7-AMOLED display, and the OnePlus 5 starts to look every bit the high-end flagship smartphone that it aspires to be. Even the USB-C port at the bottom has been filed down to a smooth finish, unlike, say, the Google Pixel, which has an annoyingly sharp edge around the port, and painted black on the inside. The more zoomed-in second camera of the OnePlus 5 also lacks SOIs, but it doesn't get the benefit of a wide aperture. So its results are dramatically, sometimes horrifically, worse than the main camera. The amount of graininess and color noise I get from the telephoto shooter in low light reminds me of mobile cameras from half a decade ago. Images appear flat, losing all the subtle detail and color gradations that go into making a photo feel realistic. With this added camera, you might get an extra bit of creative flexibility while shooting castles and lakes on a sunny day, But this advantage is frankly too limited to be commendable, primarily because of the poor image quality. I was prepared to declare the 8GB of RAM on the more expensive OnePlus 5 model an example of total overkill, but now I'm not so certain. This phone's responsiveness is so impressive that I'm looking for an explanation beyond simple software optimizations. Other phones with the same Snapdragon 835 processor, like the Galaxy S8 and Sony's Xperia XZ Premium, don't scream speed and swiftness in the same way, and it's not like OnePlus software is perfect, anyway. I encountered a few bugs, mostly around the camera app and Google Photos, which show that the OS could still do with some polishing. While I haven't had the opportunity to test how the 6GB OnePlus 5 compares, it might just be the case that 8GB of RAM is what Android needs to feel super fast and fluid. In any event, the OnePlus 5 earns top marks for performance. Way I feel about the OnePlus 5 is not dissimilar to the way I felt about its predecessors. If you're not too fussed about the camera, it's one of the better choices I can recommend out there. It's ridiculously fast, handles every task and app I throw at it, and it's got the ergonomics and aesthetics of a true premium device. I imagine most people are going to shrug off its resemblance to the iPhone and just enjoy the speed and responsiveness. But the one thing OnePlus has consistently failed to achieve top-tier status on was the camera, and that, more than anything, was the big opportunity for the OnePlus 5 to prove its worth. OnePlus contends that this is the best camera that's ever shipped on a phone. I'm willing to believe that, however I'm not willing to accept the OnePlus 5 as a competitive entry in a contest that has advanced considerably with the introduction of the Google Pixel and the upgrade of the Galaxy S8 camera. Photography is now the biggest differentiator among Android phones, especially given how many companies have figured out how to do good design, big batteries, and, mostly, bezel-less screens. For OnePlus to stand out without its disruptive pricing, it needed to deliver something truly unique with its new camera system. On the evidence of my experience with the OnePlus 5, it has failed. The OnePlus 5 is good when it needed to be great. Good stuff. Screaming fast. Cutting-edge spec sheet. Dash charge makes up for a lack of wireless charging. Reading mode. Bad stuff. Dual camera system is a failure. Unoriginal design. Not waterproof. Large screen bezels are so 2016.